Let's look at my top 5 favorite sci-fi films from the 50s. That's a tongue twister. Number 5, Gojira. I'm sure most Americans would be more familiar with the 1956 version titled Godzilla King of the Monsters, which had additional scenes of Raymond Burr cut in there. Raymond Burr's a great actor and all. And I actually am quite a big fan of the 1956 American recut. I think it's still a pretty good movie. Certainly not doesn't have the depth that this movie Gojira has, but I'd still recommend it. It's a fun little monster movie. That was really weird. Okay, but everybody knows that the 1954 Gojira, which is the Japanese version, is a much better film. Simply because it doesn't try and tone down any of the violence, any of the graphic scenery. I don't need to go into the plot. You all know it. A monster has been spawned by nuclear radiation, basically terrorizing Japan. And it's actually there's a lot more to it than that. There's a pretty gripping actually three-way love triangle thing. Super weapons, all kinds of great crap going on there. So when it comes to Godzilla, there's really not much I can say about it. It's grown into a huge ass franchise. I mean, 27 movies after this, and who knows when the next one's coming. But I look forward to it. I'd love to see more Godzilla films. I've only seen this one and the last one, so I'd like to catch up on the ones in between. It's not readily available because I think that they're not as popular as they should be, and I think most people think they're really cheesy. And Godzilla dubbed over, really bad dubbing, monsters, guys in suits. Yeah, especially for a person my age, you wouldn't think we'd be fans of Godzilla, but it's a great movie, and I don't give a damn what people say. I don't know when you're watching this video, but from where I am at this time, the Criterion Collection just released a really cool Blu-ray of Gojira. I'm not sure if Godzilla is included in there, the free cut, but I'll be definitely picking that up. Anyways, if you think Godzilla is cheesy, I'd still recommend you check this one out. If you're used to the modern monster movies like Cloverfield, this one actually has some drama, so you might want to skip. But I'd say check it out. Number 4, The Thing from Another World. In 1951 was when the flying saucer craze really started and sci-fi movies began. We'll get to the one that really started it a little later. But The Thing from Another World, which was probably the more famous John Carpenter remake from 1982, well, my opinions on that, it's not bad. It's a good movie, but I think I have to watch it a couple more times because I've only seen it once, and I had pretty high expectations, so I think that's why I didn't enjoy it as much. But we're not here to talk about that. We'll talk about that some other time. Recently remade again in 2011. Didn't see it. Don't give a damn. They obviously just reimagined John Carpenter's movie. They probably didn't even look at this. The 1951 version. It's also based off of a short story by John W. Campbell Jr., I hope that's right, titled Who Goes There, which the short story and this version really had nothing to do with each other. In the short story, the alien assimilates its victims, much like in the 80s thing and the recent one. This one, he's basically just a big bulking alien, nothing really special, made out of vegetables. Don't try and understand that if you haven't seen the movie, please. But this movie is really, really good for 1950s standards. First of all, it's credited as being directed by Christian Nyby, and I'm sure Nyby had some contributions. I've never heard of him before besides this. But most film fans will tell you it's really a Howard Hawks film, who is the producer. And Howard Hawks is actually a really great director. Probably most known for his comedies in the 1940s, such as Bringing Up Baby and His Girl Friday, which I haven't seen, but I'd like to see. Anyways, this movie really creates, really started the atmospheric horror. I pronounced that really weird. Atmospheric. The claustrophobic horror stories, which would influence Alien, I'm guessing, and John Carpenter, obviously, and even in Halloween, you can see it playing on the TV. Um, and he remade it. Let's stop talking about the remake for a second. This it has overlapping dialogue, which is really actually quite rare in movies, especially 1950s B movie. So they obviously took their time with this movie. The character's real nice, nothing special. There's the really cheesy love story going on there. That's not good, but when are they? The creature design is uninspired, as I said before. He's made out of vegetables. He feeds on blood. Ooh, never seen that before. And he can regrow limbs once he loses them. It has great cinematography. The black and white looks gorgeous. A great concept, and it's been repeated a million times. So, The Thing. Don't get much better than that. Number 3 is The Blob. You might be surprised that I picked such a campy B movie. Well, all these are technically kind of B movie-ish. Most of them are much more well known. The Blob is just my guilty pleasure, but I don't really put it as a guilty pleasure because I found so many people that just adore this movie, and I can totally see why. The main reason why you might want to watch this is legendary actor Steve McQueen, and really his first major role. He plays the lead teenager, and he really brings a certain talent to the role. I mean, a lot of these movies don't have the best actors in them, so it's great to see such an awesome actor in this. Basically, Jello falls from the sky and starts eating people. Yeah, that's basically it. But it's a fun ride, and it's it. Blob. I love the Blob. As you can see, I'm kind of at a lost word, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's like 11 o'clock, so I'm damn tired. Oh, the Blob. I love the Blob because it doesn't have huge eyes, it doesn't have antennas. Just going crazy with the hand gestures. It's just basically a mass of space slime. The characters are good, the small town setting is good. Really, one of the first. I don't know. No. Maybe it's not the first. I don't know. Apparently, like, my mom and dad's generation watched it all the time on TV. She remembers it a lot. So it's really classic. So curl up on a Sunday morning when you don't have anything to do, you're feeling lazy, feeling like a kid, pop in the Blob, you won't be disappointed. Number 2, Forbidden Planet. Probably one of the most, if not the most, sophisticated movie on this list. Forbidden Planet was really an attempt to try and see, trying to find the seriousness in sci-fi by putting great actors, great sets, great special effects, and a great story into it. The story is basically The Tempest by Shakespeare. I haven't read it, so I don't know where the differences are, but I know that's what it's based on. Basically, a team, basically if you want to compare it to some, it's basically like the Star Trek team, which you can see some influences it might have had on Star Trek. Just watch the movie and you'll see them. Basically, they're investigating a planet which hasn't been heard from for a long time, so they're going there, and they meet a mysterious man named Dr. Morbius and his hot-ass daughter. I can't remember her name. Basically, and then there's the mystery and it unfolds. I don't want to give away too much to the plot. As I said, great acting. Leslie Nielsen's in a dramatic role, and most of you will probably remember him in humorous roles. He was actually a dramatic actor before they found out, hey, this guy's freaking funny. Let's put him in a comedy movie. He does a great job. I mean, he's really not recognizable. I mean, if I didn't know, I wouldn't have known it was him. Walter Pidgeon really steals the show, I think, though. He's just phenomenal. And Walter Pidgeon's, while I don't think he was in too many great films, is a great actor, and he's awesome. Anyway, Anne Francis, she's a fine actress. Most adolescent boys will not be focused on her acting, and I don't need to go any farther than that. Yeah, I noticed some sexual undertones in this movie, which watching it with my dad was a little awkward. Watch the movie and you'll know what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, it's awesome. Robbie's the robot in it, who's basically become a cultural icon of himself. And it's just really cool. It's really imaginative. Great animation by the Disney Studios. Another time with some I love. Everybody knows this is a great movie. It's influenced a bunch of sci-fi and fantasy filmmakers. It's just fantastic. So what could beat it? You're about to find out. But anyways, Forbidden Planet, great stuff. And my number one 1950s sci-fi film and my number one favorite sci-fi film of all time is The Day the Earth Stood Still in 1951. This film was directed by Robert Wise, who would later go on to direct The Sound of Music, and I think it was co-directing. I think it was co-directing with somebody else. West Side Story. He also did The Haunting, one of my favorite horror movies. And Star Trek, the motion picture, which isn't great, but certainly not terrible. As I said, this is my favorite science fiction film of all time. The plot is basically an alien comes down to Earth, and instead of going the cliche route, which it wouldn't have been so bad because this is one of the first Alien movies, they actually the alien's name is Klaatu. He's basically a human from a different world. Basically, he doesn't look like an alien. But anyways, he comes down to deliver a message that we should stop all wars, or else we will be obliterated because we will invent a nuclear weapon or something. Obviously, that plot sounds quite preachy, quite cliche, and it has an anti-war message, obviously. So, but you don't notice this slightly cliched plot. When you're watching, you're too busy getting wrapped up in these great characters. Michael Rennie's great. He's not in too many things, but he's a really cool actor. Cool. Radical. It's the 90s. He's a really great actor. Patricia Neal, who's very well known as an actress, is great. The little kid is really good. One of the best children performances I've seen in a long time. One of my favorites. And then Hugh Marlowe's fine. I can't even remember any more of the cast members. And Gort is awesome. I mean, who doesn't love Gort? I mean, you can't go wrong with Gort. I just like saying the name Gort. Gort. So the special effects are pretty non-existent in this film. But, I feel like don't have to ramble on about this. You have to see this film if you're a science fiction fan. And that's all I have to say about it. So I hope you enjoyed what I thought are the best 1950s science fiction films. I'd recommend every single film on this list. Some of them are a little cheesy, and some of them the effects you'll laugh at, especially if you're a younger audience, but who doesn't like classic films. But if you don't like classic films, get off my channel. You're not gonna like anything on here. So I'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed.